Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of F122 Driver Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're headed to the Monaco Grand Prix. It's been a bit, almost a week since I've played the F1 game because I've had strep throat for the second time in my life, and hopefully the final time. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. It was terrible. I still have it, but I'm like 90% over it, knock on wood. I just have a bit of a sore throat now, but yeah. It was pretty bad. So this race I recorded yesterday. This was my, as you see us by the way, headed into the Monaco area. This is my first Grand Prix back, but still I was feeling pretty rough yesterday as well at points, but a lot better than compared to earlier in the week. So we're calling this the strep throat race. So you're gonna notice maybe some mistakes I was making here and there, especially later in the weekend, and I was struggling to kind of get my footing down all weekend really here, and you're going to notice that in Monaco now. But yeah, we have of course a 10 race season here to cap off this career mode, and I was hoping I was going to get better so I could finish this in time for the new F1 game dropping in I think 11 days, 10-11 days for the early deluxe edition. So we are here in practice now, and you can see myself on the time delta. In the top right, the practice programs are pretty hard at Monaco, so I wasn't alarmed by the 2.3 seconds off the pace on the time delta. For whatever reason, after not playing this game for so long, from being just dead, I was finding myself locking up the brakes like every other corner, it felt like, and I was a little bit confused. I was like, what am I doing wrong here? Like, have I now just forgotten how to press the brake pedal? And well, you're gonna notice that I did that into turn one, so practice was over. I just straight up binned it right there. So you can tell I was trying to kind of get back into the swing of things, and I was still a bit under the weather. Oscar Piastri there didn't even go out for a lap. So far this season, we have seen Oscar Piastri looking really good. Of course, he got his first win in the first race of the season in Jeddah, and then we went to his home Grand Prix in Australia in the last episode, and he was actually able to get the best of us there. He didn't beat us on track, but we had that 5-second time penalty due to speeding in the pit lane that allowed him to beat us here now. So here we are though in Q1. Now all the marbles, this is the hardest I'm going to run all weekend long, is in qualifying. So here we are in Q1 doing the best we can now, and I was starting to kind of get a little bit of comfort here finally on track, and finally feel kind of with the car again. Now as you can see myself getting right against the barrier right there. We're going to cross the line though, and the lap was not very impressive. We got beat by Schwartzman, so I went for another lap. We went half a second better, up to P5. I was going to go for another lap, but then I ended up slowing down. So I would quickly see that we were down to 14th place, so I knew we would have to make another lap just to make sure we could get in to Q2, because we were down to P15 pretty quickly, so things were looking a little bit scary here. We won this Grand Prix last season. Don't forget now as we head towards the end of Sector 1, there it is. We're going to be out in qualifying. I've completely choked it, and we've completely crashed the car. It's day over. We're going to be starting from the back of the grid here in the Monaco Grand Prix. And a race that we won last season is now going to be, well, if we can get points, I'll consider that a win. Where are we actually starting? P17 on the grid. Lando Norris at the back, along with Carlos Sainz again out of Q1. So we got some work to do. Let's head to the grid here in Monaco.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That's how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1 mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than inches from the race-ending barriers. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Oscar Piastri completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Leclerc, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Perez, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, and Alex Albon. Magnussen, Joe, Robert Schwartzman, and Mick Schumacher. Tsunoda, Latifi, Golden Boy, and Carlos Sainz. Stroll and Lando Norris starts from the back of the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
Alright, so yeah, obvious work to do here, is for whatever reason, Davidson just went silent in this part, so no one was talking, but it's going to be an interesting race. It is supposed to rain, so that could throw a bit of a curveball. We are going to be doing a hard to, well, probably intermediate compound tire strategy here, so we'll see what happens and whatnot, but yeah, I'm going to start on the hards. Hopefully that takes us to the rain.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out. We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
I know you're not feeling great today, mate. Just make sure to stay hydrated out there for me.
Yes, sir. We got plenty of water. Let's have a good one. Even if I don't have plenty of water in this current moment in the car, we've got rain on the way anyways, so we will have plenty of water at some point now as we're getting ready to roll up on the grid here now. So it's been an interesting first couple Grand Prix to start the season. We've seen two different winners, two different teams win, McLaren, Chevrolet, and then Red Bull, and the winners were Piastri and then Max Verstappen. The two winners on the front row with Verstappen P1, Piastri in P2. It's going to be a Red Bull versus McLaren Chevrolet battle for the constructors, I reckon. At this point, we're ready to go racing here in Monaco. Lights out, we're underway. Max Verstappen leads the way down towards turn 1. I need to get aggressive on lap 1. It is so hard to pass in Monaco, of course. We need to get what we can on this opening lap. Now 3 wide in the background, right there, that was Esteban Ocon and his Alpine teammate Fernando Alonso scrapping it out for a very brief moment there. He's got Alex Albon and the Williams Porsche up here in the mix right there, and look at this. Ocon going for an overtake right there. Not going to quite work out in his favor now, as you can see myself sending one up the inside, all the way up the inside of the Aston Martin, driven by Yuki Tsunoda. That's for 15th, and then we're also going to go around the outside here of Zhou Guanyu. So we're going to move up into P14, and usually you get what you can get right here, and then it's going to get very difficult to make overtakes from this point on. So we're going to have to be very calm, cool, collected, and patient if we're going to actually make some overtakes beyond this point of the Grand Prix. Like I said, honestly, I would consider points a win here in this weekend, given the situation starting from the back of the grid as well, not helping us at all. But yeah, now trying to settle in, get into a bit of a groove. I wasn't driving, you know, overly aggressive, and I wasn't driving super hard, just because, well, quite simply, I didn't feel great, you know, dealing with the strep throat. So I wasn't able to give it everything. It was, by the way, it was so hot in my room yesterday when I was doing this. I think it was about 31 degrees Celsius, and it was so rough. But here I am on lap 7, already lap 7, because quite literally nothing happened. It is Monaco, and I'm stuck right here behind Mick Schumacher. It had rain on the way in about 15 minutes, you heard recently from Mark, so we knew the rain was on the way, and I personally wanted to complete as many passes as I could before the rain got here, because when the rain comes, it's even harder to pass in a track that's really hard to pass at. So I wanted to be able to get these overtakes done here. Now, a new strategy available from Mark. We'll take a look at that in just a second. You saw me look up the inside there. Thought I might have an opportunity to pass Schumacher, but then I was also realizing, unfortunately, that the medium compound tires that the majority of the field is on, they're all going to make it to the rain. So you can see the cloud cover coming in, so I was really disappointed about that, because I could have started on the mediums. But here I am with a big run on Schumacher. This is my opportunity to catch him off guard. Actually got into the back of him. We got really lucky right there. That was an aggressive move, but somehow we don't come out of that with any wing damage. So we move up to P13. I knew I was, you know, way faster than him. I was faster than Schwartzman, and you can see immediately we're going to try and make some gains on the back of that Audi Sport driver. But there it is, lap 15, exiting turn 1. The rain is here, and it would develop a lot quicker than I expected. Mark's already saying, I think we're on the right tire for the time being, and then you're going to see this is already just 2 corners later, suggesting to go onto the intermediates, DRS disabled. It has been raining for 30 seconds, and it's already wet out here in Monaco. Piastri, Verstappen, the 2 leaders are into the pits now, and Verstappen is going to get those intermediates on, and he's going to pull out in front of Oscar now, as these two are basically running away from the field. And now it's of course up to myself to try and just limp this car around to the pit lane there. Did you just see that lightning speed that Red Bull pit crew just moved at right there? But you can see, look how wet the track was by the time I got back around to the pit. So we're going to come in, put on those intermediate tires, and it's going to be a really slow and grueling final part of this Grand Prix here now, as we're going to exit just behind that Aston Martin. Really, actually, was able to make an overtake right there on Robert Schwartzman in the Audi. So that moves us up into currently P14, but there is a few drivers that stayed out on dry tires. Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, and as well, I believe it was, I'm not even going to try and guess, I don't remember, but there was 3 drivers I do know that stayed out on dry tires. And we would run down the group that was led by Norris. We got Esteban Ocon right out, here behind him. This is an opportunity for me to maybe make some passes. I just saw a winglet go flying right there. Look at this. Look at the pace that he's going. It's so slow, and we are actually able to get past him, but more importantly, Esteban Ocon, who we were actually racing, so we gained a spot out of that. And Ocon still, I don't think, has gotten past him. No, he has not, so that's easy for us. How about a P12? It's Zhou Guanyu, who's the other driver on the dry, so we pass him. We get all the way up to P11 through this whole scenario taking place, and it was Hamilton, even though he was on the dries, he still comes out in front of Magnussen and was actually driving away from Kevin Magnussen, as I pick up a little bit of underbody damage there, running over the curbing, but still nonetheless setting a pretty decent pace here now, running down K-Mag, and now realizing, of course, if we're going to go for some overtakes, we're going to have to get pretty aggressive and try and catch these drivers off guard. It can't really come down into turn 1. It can't go down at the end of the tunnel into the chicane. It needs to be in corners that they're not expecting it to happen, which is right here. I take a little bit of oversteer right there, the back end kicking out to my advantage. I send it up the inside after that happens, and now we give them room, and we're going to, of course, fight around this outside line, and fortunately, it's going to work out in our favor. You know what? We kept it clean. You can make those dive bombs in the F1 game as long as you keep it clean and you don't run over the guy in front of you. I think it's fair game. So up at P10 we go. I said points was the goal after where we ended up in qualifying with that situation there. We then run down Lewis Hamilton, who was behind a train of Alex Albon in the Williams Porsche, with just in front of him Fernando Alonso. So Fernando Alonso in the Alpine had wing damage, but he was not pitting. It wasn't severe enough to warrant him coming into the pits. So he stays out, but that was backing up everybody. So I made a pass earlier on Schumacher into the final couple of corners. So I decide to try and lunge one around the outside of Lewis Hamilton around these final 2 turns, and here we are side by side down the front straightaway. Now it's a traction battle at this point here, and we're pretty dead even as we head down towards turn number 1. Magnussen just behind, loving what he sees, nearly into the barrier, but we go around the outside. We make the overtake on Lewis Hamilton, who in my opinion was a way quicker car than me. He just got stuck behind that Albon Alonso situation, and I was obviously wanting the position clearly way more than Lewis Hamilton was wanting to pass those guys in front of him. We need every point we can get. It's a short season, and I still believe we're going to be fighting for the World Drivers' Championship here. As you can see now, going for a move on Alex Albon, doing the same thing that we just did to Lewis Hamilton, but Albon has a really awkward final corner right there. You saw the back end kind of do a tail whip, and we're already just about clear, but he's still fighting back, and now Lewis Hamilton's into the mix as well as we head down towards turn 1 side by side, giving Albon the room that he's entitled to, but we get the job done as we nearly wreck ourselves right there on the exit of turn 1. But now we of course set our sights on Fernando Alonso, who is 2.4 seconds up the road, but we close in on the back of Nando here as we head down towards the right-hander, and here we are coming up towards that final set of corners again. Actually, a little bit of contact there on the back of him, but I'm going to send one this time up the inside, try to not run into him there. He didn't expect that move. You saw him react to it, probably didn't appreciate that move very much, but we sure enough moved through into P7. Very happy, honestly, with P7 at this point. However, unfortunately, as the laps would go on, we are driving away from the cars behind, which is great, but we are not getting any closer to the cars in front. So Pierre Gasly on up, they're all just driving away from us at this point. 10 laps to go, and you can see where everybody's running right there. Charles Leclerc currently on the podium with George Russell Perez trailing, and then way behind them is Pierre Gasly, and then way behind Pierre Gasly, 21 seconds behind, nearly 22, is myself, and then you have 6 seconds back from me, Fernando Alonso, with this massive train of cars that he's got now. I mean, Alonso is leading a train of cars from him in 8th all the way down into 19th place, and then Lando Norris is 2.5 seconds off of 19th place, Zhou Guanyu. Carlos Sainz hasn't gone anywhere. He's P17. He's had a pretty rough start to this season here in this final 10 race season of this F1 23 career mode, 22 career mode, sorry, but Sergio Perez is actually out of the race. He's had a mechanical failure from P5, so that's going to be the end of the day for him. Another spot for me. That's going to put us up in a P6. Everything is going pretty well at this point, but I took some damage. You saw it right there on the exit of turn 1. So unfortunately, after I took that damage, our pace would start to fall off a little bit here. And what would make things even worse was Alex Albon eventually found a way past Fernando Alonso. And now, for whatever reason, Mark, every single time I would come through this hairpin for the rest of the race, would recommend a strategy change. It was getting very annoying every single lap through the same corner. But yeah, Albon was closing in on me quite a bit, and you can see where I'm kind of getting worn out and tired and dealing with this illness, and I take more damage there. Just at this point, losing a lot of focus towards the end of this Grand Prix, and more damage on the front wing, and that was a amount of damage that would allow Albon to close in significantly in just a matter of a lap or so. He was all over the back of me as we head down towards turn 1 on lap 36 of 39. Even Fernando Alonso now closing in on me quite significantly, 2.8 seconds now down to 1 second, as I was now the leader of the train. Verstappen had caught the back of this train. He was lapping cars here. He was coming to the final lap of the Grand Prix. We still have 2 laps to go when we get back around, but you can see now yellow flags in the background. At one point I was like, is it because I'm going so slow? I don't know. Fortunately, I only have to defend 2 parts of this circuit really, and we're going to be just fine. And that spot's right here down the front straightaway, but in the background it's Magnussen. This is the actual yellow flag. He's out of the Grand Prix, so he has a mechanical failure. Fortunately for us, we continue on into P6 and just try to hang on. You can see myself slipping and sliding around. Max Verstappen had started the final lap of the Grand Prix. We're just now starting the final lap, and Verstappen's at this point coming through to win here in Monaco. Oscar Piastri is going to follow him through in second place here, but the race is still on for P6 on down at this point here now as we head down towards the right-hander, and Fernando Alonso just sent one up the inside of Albon and into the side of me, and that shoves me wide into the barrier, and we get damage there, and now we run into the side pod of Fernando Alonso here. At this point I was pretty frustrated now, and now here I am trying to fight back around the outside. You're going to see myself try to make it stick here, but on the exit of the corner towards the tunnel, just not going to quite have the grip that Alonso has. So we're going to give up P6 now, and now we have to try and hold off Albon here, but fortunately for myself, we would do just that because he would come under attack from Schwartzman in the final moments of this final lap. So unfortunately we get bullied out of the way by Fernando, and he gets a 2-for-1 special to go from P8 to P6. We're going to come through to cross the line to end up P7. Not the final lap that I expected or was looking for, but you know what? I'm still pretty happy with that after starting P17. Still, driver of the day, a lot of work to do if we want to get ourselves in this championship battle. Let's go see the podium celebration.
Red Bull pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack, and having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
Well then, there we have it. That is it here in Monaco with Verstappen on the top step of that podium. Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc as well. I mean, right now it's Verstappen versus Piastri, but we still have enough time. We still got 7 Grand Prix. And unfortunately, with me getting strep throat, obviously we have to finish up F122 career mode before F123 comes out. So you're going to see basically the next week and a half or so quite dominated by F122 career mode, or the channel. Basically, you're going to see dominated by that. So yeah, stay tuned for that, because we got to make sure we get this ended in time for the new game to release now. And I'm very curious to see where the season's going to go, because we are going to have to get really good and on fire, while of course we have to hope that maybe Verstappen and Piastri maybe run into an issue or two, because you see the standings here, we're already 49 points back. Oscar is only 11 points back there. Basically, Perez drops to 4th behind Charles Leclerc in the driver's standings. Hamilton down to 8th place. Alonso leapfrogs his teammate of Esteban Ocon. Sainz only at 6 points. Absolutely terrible. And let's take a look before we wrap it up right here at the constructors. We're 27 back as a team on Red Bull, so not too far back. We can make that up, and I think we will. That's gonna wrap it up for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.